What has smelly fur, long whiskers, and moves like a ninja? Rats, man's greatest enemy. These folks look to be at war with humanity, and guess what? They have set up enemy lines in none other than New York City, the city of beautiful lights. How can there be so much vermin in a metro city? How does New York intend to deal with its rat problem? Let's find out. But before we continue, let's make sure you subscribe to our channel so you can get all future uploads. It should be no surprise that New York City has a rat issue. 2 million rats live in a city filled with 18 million people, flourishing on the streets, sewers, abandoned and unabandoned buildings, parks, subways, shoe stores, and restaurants. The situation is getting worse. Rat sightings surged by 40% in the first 11 months of 2021 compared to the same period in 2019, owing to reduced waste collection and street cleaning services. At the same time, the pandemic-induced closure of eateries prevents mice from a consistent supply of food, forcing hungry rats to travel longer and more publicly in a quest of sustenance. However, rats are not a new problem in New York. Despite several efforts, they have appeared to be an uncontrollable problem for generations. In 2017, Mayor Bill de Blasio launched a $32 million rat-fighting initiative, and workers put in additional rat poison and traps. The sanitation crew used dry ice to shatter rats' nests. Building owners have been punished for not cleaning up their rubbish, and at least one heron has lent a helping hand in Central Park, eating a rat in one gulp. Something needs to be fixed. Then Rat, an organization formed particularly to deal with rats, steps in. The group has been chasing rats with dogs in New York since 1995, serving as a dog surveillance service and dispatching to afflicted neighborhoods through Facebook or email. The Rat's technique of rat management is majorly the use of canines to sniff out rats throughout the city, which turned out to be very effective. It was so effective that it received hundreds of requests from New Yorkers each year. In this rat-infested city, people look prepared to try everything just to deal with rats, and Rat does just that. Although rats are not indigenous to North America, they have been prevalent in New York since the 1700s. The Norway rat, Rattus norvegicus, a brown rat native to China but carried throughout the world by Norwegian sailing ships, dominates the city's rat population. Norway rats appeared in the United States on boats in about 1776, smuggled in grain boxes by German troops employed by the British to battle American colonists. They have spread far and wide, but the city is better prepared to cope with the problem. The New York Times covered the rat problem in an article titled "The Case of the Newborn Child Gnawed by Vermin" in 1860. The youngster died after being mutilated by rats at Bellevue Hospital in Midtown Manhattan. According to the Times, the rats at Bellevue are a daring and wild breed and do not hesitate to emerge from their hiding places and scurry about even in the company of men in high rank. Although there have been no recent instances of rat deaths and bites are rather regular, the rats remain fearless and demonstrates contempt for persons in positions of power. That has irritated Eric Adams, Brooklyn Borough President and New York's mayor. During the mayoral election campaign this autumn, he was harshly critical of the city's response to rats. Adams enumerated de Blasio's $32 million efforts in one speech before adding, "All of these gadgets and stuff are ineffective." Instead, Adams devised his strategy, which involved using a rat bucket. The gadget entices rats with the promise of food before dumping them into a liquid through a trapdoor. The rats then perish. According to the manufacturer, the bucket can catch more than 30 rats before emptying. The upcoming mayor has praised the rat bucket extensively over the last 2 years. He even exhibited it at a press conference a couple of years ago when Adams' staff claimed to have installed 5 buckets around his Brooklyn office building. However, in an implicit acknowledgement of the magnitude of the undertaking, a spokeswoman subsequently confessed that one of the buckets had already been shattered by a large rat. Now, that's simply hilarious. Imagine devising a means to solve a problem. You try out that means, it fails in the first try. Either those rats were born samurai, or that plan was just plain terrible. But one thing that amazes me is that regardless of how bad New York's rat problem is, the city isn't known as the rattiest city in America. Now, your mind is buzzing with excitement, wondering who it is. Well, there are other rat-consumed cities, and shockingly, New York isn't number one. Where, you're probably assuming. Well, stay out of the Midwest if you think New York City's rat problem is awful. Orkin Pest Control revealed its list of the rattiest cities in the United States. And while New York City did climb up the list, not a list anybody wants to go up, another city has now grabbed the title for the 8th year in a row. That dubious honor belongs to Chicago, which has topped the yearly list since 2015. Not long ago, there was a newcomer to the top 20, and it's pretty close. Hartford, Connecticut, ranked 19th, with 3 additional New York cities making the top 50. Albany, 34, Buffalo, 39, and Syracuse, 50. For a long time, Orkin has ranked metro regions based on the number of new rodent treatments performed. Both residential and commercial treatments are included in this rating. Rodent infestations are among the top pest challenges of the autumn and winter seasons, says Orkin entomologist Ben Hontel. Not only are mice and rats a nuisance, but they have been linked to the spread of hazardous infections such as Salmonella and hantavirus. Many people should not be surprised by NYC's high rating. Rat sightings in the city have climbed by 71% since this time last year, according to new official data. There have been over 21,000 reports by the end of September. Months ago, a horde of rats overwhelmed an Upper Manhattan Chipotle, prompting the burrito restaurant to temporarily close the shop after staff said they were forced to take things into their own hands to try to battle back the infestation. According to the New York Daily News, rat complaints first increased in 2021, with many blaming the increase on outdoor eating facilities constructed during the epidemic. Even though some restaurants have closed their outside eating areas, the vermin problem persists. Over the summer, members of the New York City Council submitted a 5-point rat action plan to address the problem, which included rat-proof garbage cans. It is anticipated to pass in the coming months. Some time ago, the Department of Sanitation proposed modifying the time trash is collected at the curb at night so waste is not left out as long, and rats have less opportunity to sniff and go after it. Garbage can now be placed at the curb at 4 p.m., the day before pickup. The DSNY, on the other hand, wants New Yorkers to start putting out their garbage later in the evening, around 8 p.m. Their plan does include one caveat. If the trash is placed in a container or receptacle, it may be collected early at 6 p.m. The agency believes that by reducing the length of time rubbish is left out on the street, rats will be less visible and have less access to food. If there is one thing rats love, it's food. No wonder they give birth to like 15 babies all at once. They have lots of mouths to feed. So, if you take out the one thing they desire in the world, you will control them. The Rat Action Plan is anticipated to be approved by the New York City Council. It consists of 4 pieces of legislation to effectively reduce the citywide rodent infestation. One of the initiatives is establishing formal rat mitigation zones across New York City and demanding to report on rat mitigation efforts in those zones. Another requirement would be that garbage cans and buildings, classified as having a high prevalence of reoccurring rodent infestation, be made of a material or design that minimizes rodent infection. Furthermore, the guidelines would require the applicant to attest that a qualified exterminator has been employed to successfully treat the premises for rodent eradication before certain building permits are awarded. This is a really good plan by New York, and one question is, do you think it is possible for New York to completely kill all of its rats? Let us know what you think in the comment section. If you enjoyed this video, go on to the next one on your screen. Subscribe to our channel and click on the bell to never miss a new video from us, and we'll see you next time.